windy and sunny.
Little windy and sunny. So, usually I do this in the middle, but here we go. It's good to just be thorough about it. The weather is the weather. It's a wonderful example of impermanence. Here comes Violan in the room. It's a wonderful example of impermanence and emptiness. So, emptiness or shunyata in the sense of everything is open and dynamic and constantly changing, and impermanence associated with the constantly changing. You can't grab hold of it. And one of the things that meditation practice, I think, makes really clear is that the experience of being you, moment by moment by moment, is dynamic. It's always changing. It's very lively. And it's not a thing that you can grab hold of. Or as many of you have heard me say many, many times, it's more like a river, or you could say like a stream, than a rock. It's not a thing. It's a flowing experience. And to be able to do the weather exercise is an example of being able to be self-aware. You know, the same kind of self-knowing that we do in stages 5 through 9. So here we are, and I'm going to not pin the video. I'm going to just leave it as it is. Maybe I can change this. So whoever is the speaker, let's see if I can do that. Speaker. Whoever is the speaker should be the one that shows up. No, that didn't work. We'll go gallery. So it's the final session for entering the stream. And one of the things I've really gotten a lot out of, and I think participants have gotten a lot out of in previous going through this, previous iterations, if I can use a fancy word, is just asking what happened for you. If you were to try and you can't say everything. So, I'm going to talk for a minute and give you a chance to think about, okay, if I want to say what happened for me, something that stands out, something I learned, something I feel like I'm still struggling with, something that really annoyed me. Could be, right? I try not to be annoying, and sometimes I fail and I hit annoying. But something from the last 4 weeks, or you could do the whole from meditation is freedom and the stage 1 of noticing and coming back, all the way through to resting in awareness, right? So something in that process that stood out for you. And often I go around and I start with whoever's on the top line of my little Hollywood squares. But when we get to this, I'm talking so you have some chance to think about what are you going to say, right? But I sort of like to do this what is called popcorn style. So whoever jumps in, they get to jump in. And usually when people are sharing, it's a minute, 2 minutes, could be 10 seconds. Could be nothing comes to mind. So you have complete permission for anything you'd like to offer of something, especially from entering the stream, but could be the whole thing that stands out for you. So, and there we go. Tony, I see your hand.
I guess, like I've said this before, I think my biggest thing is being able to be present, being aware. So throughout the day, there's times that I do the practice, or I just become aware of my surroundings and so on. And like I've said before, as opposed to just being on automatic pilot. And so being more aware.
Okay.
The thing. So that's the biggest thing that I've taken out of this. And
Okay.
I think the practice that we're doing of learning to meditate, that it's coming over into my daily life of being able to be aware of that and be sort of practicing with the breath in the background a little bit. So it's very powerful. Thank you very much for leading.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm going to do my best to not comment, although it's hard for me not to talk. Susan, I saw your hand.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about the sessions. I kind of always struggled with meditation before, not really knowing what to do, and this has given me a new skill where I feel I look forward to it, but I feel like a really nice calmness and a way to tap into it when I feel I need it. So
Okay.
it's been a good gift for me to learn this.
Okay. Thank you. I'm just taking a few notes. These are good. These are really good. Okay. Violaine, bonjour.
Bonjour, bonjour. Thank you so much for the teachings. I really like the metaphor, and it also allows me to see like the different layers of meditation. And if I skip away from awareness, I can go back to distraction and then bring my way up. I kind of like seeing the different veils I can go through, if I can say, and also having the commitment, having the community. Like, knowing that I meet you every day at 7 and that we have the speech. I found that this, having the group and the regularity, even, I could go for a longer time because I find this. Then when this stops, then in the morning, then I will do my meditation by myself because it's in the rhythm, right? And I find that for us to get into that takes a while, and having a group to pull us forward is key. So thank you.
Merci bien. Okay. Somebody else want to jump in? Steve, little practice, little loose. It's helped you tighten up and see that your position in the stream changes. Now I have to click on this to see the whole thing. Moment to moment. So I've come to appreciate the fluidity of practice. Okay. Thank you. And for those who might wonder, Steve is typing because his partner is still asleep. It's only 4 a.m. on the West Coast. Robert.
So the primary thing I've taken away from this is, I think I'm understanding the progression from developing a focus, the sort of balancing focused attention and awareness, and understanding the gradation of how in the beginning focused attention is where we're putting our attention, and thoughts are distractions. And as we go through it, awareness becomes more prevalent, more, the words don't work very well, more present. And the focused attention on the breath diminishes, but the awareness was always there. And through each stage, it becomes more, the awareness becomes more present. And the role of the thoughts, they're not distractions anymore. They are just part of the deal. And even though I've done this many, many times, I think I really just got it. So that it's wonderful. Thank you. And thank you for doing this over and over again.
You're welcome. Okay. Cynthia.
I'm referencing the essence portion of the of our gatherings. For me, there's been a marked deepening of the sense of richness of consciousness that also been prompting me to undertake or execute what's important to me in a very live way.
Okay. So we're going to talk about the essence practice is the third part of this. So we're finishing part 2. So thank you. That's a wonderful anticipation of something we'll get to. And I'm very glad. Thank you. Did you want to say something back, Cynthia, or no? Okay. So Kathy.
I was just, as people were talking, was contrasting how I took the first part at the Shambhala Center for a number of weeks, and then kind of practiced it on my own
Mm-hmm.
during the interim and during the foresight, and then after until we came to this part. And the difference this time was that there was that daily practice, except for the weekends, but also twice a day. And for us on the East Coast, like yesterday, I forgot at the morning time and I could zip into the noontime, and sometimes I would do both. So yes, it did give me a chance to integrate the teachings, which are very clear and progressive and everything I like with my kind of organized administrator kind of mind. So, and it was nice to meet everybody here, obviously who have been through this before. I don't know if I was the only first timer, but anyway,
No,
no,
no.
okay. Yeah, it does deepen that sense of, we can do it. And it was Brian, your style is very encouraging and supportive, and I really appreciated that. So thank you.
Thank you. And Claire, I see that you raised your hand.
I did. I guess something that was difficult for me this time was work got in the way, and I had a 8:30 hard stop some of the days, and I had to leave and miss the conversations, which were really great. But I think it really helped me with my mood. Actually, I find like it's had a real powerful effect, and I look forward to it. So I think it's given me the routine and the discipline and the reward. So once I see the reward, I'm inspired to continue. And so yeah, it's definitely been really good. And I have most days I have done it and used the recording, which was really helpful. Yeah.
Good.
So thanks so much again.
You're welcome. So I think that leaves Sarah and Margaret. Sarah, do you want to jump in?
Sure. I found that this time I could really apply it in my daily life, like come into my body and be present and watch the thoughts going by and then change the thought pattern. So that was really helpful. It's a real joy to be able to do that.
Okay.
I loved it, and I loved coming on with everyone in the morning at 8 o'clock. I'm gonna use the tapes and pretend everyone's real, All
There you
right.
go.
It was great. I love it. Thanks, Brian.
There you go. You're welcome. Gary, I see that you raised your hand, and I knew there was another person there, so glad you raised your hand.
Yes, I had a number of things I was trying to say which was the most important learning, but I learned a lot at different stages. I like the structure, but I like the progression of it. It builds on one stage, builds on to the next stage, and it's like building a house. You have to have a firm foundation. So I have a foundation, but then it went in along the way, having those kind of signposts of like, okay, thoughts, feelings, memories, or sensations, just letting them flow through was great. And then into the flow, yeah, which is, Anyway, I was into the flow there a lot at the end, and I really just appreciate too. And it's good for me to have the 8 o'clock. You know,
Mhm.
I'm coming on. I'm doing the discipline part because I've meditated through for a lot of years, but
Mhm.
it was kind of like off and on. But this gives me the discipline to meet the meeting because I'm seeing a lot of great people there, and the feedback too. When we're talking in discussions, I learned a lot through other people's shares. So appreciate that. And Brian, thank you for putting it together and taking it kind of from the Tibetan tradition and putting it in North American language, and so I could grasp it better. Thank you.
You're welcome. Um, I have the pleasure of just, I had really good teachers, so I just get to repeat what they taught me and what little bit I've understood. Margaret.
Good morning. Um, Ditto to everything that's been said.
Okay.
I think I've done this. I don't know how many times I've done this now, and I guess I want to express a genuine um, regret that it's probably not going to happen in this form again, at least not in the foreseeable future. And I am grateful that there'll be at least a weekly check-in.
Mhm.
So for me, one of the most important things that I've gotten has been the structure, the routine, and the support of knowing when I get myself here, there'll be several other people who got themselves here. And I, there's maybe lots of ways to talk about it, but it's beyond just feeling support. There is something about the quality of the community. I think it's the level of kindness and respect. And I actually think most people here feel fairly free to just say what's in their mind, and the opportunity to actually talk about meditation practice from an open heart and without really censoring myself is rare.
Mhm.
It doesn't happen in a lot of communities. I've been in many, many, many discussion groups, but there is something about the consistency of doing it every day and being able to sit with a teacher every morning, and for me, twice a day, like anyone else on the East Coast, or maybe, um, in the Central Zone too. It makes a big difference. And I have changed in really fundamental ways by virtue of doing this. I'm not sure how many years I've been doing this now with you, Brian, but it's probably about 7 or 8, maybe 10 times I've done it. I don't actually know anymore,
Mm.
but it's become integrated and a part of my identity. And I don't think that would have happened without the daily support and the level of warmth and intimacy, I guess I'll say, that the group has provided with your leadership. So thank you.
Thank you. I think that was everyone. Did anyone not get a chance to jump in? Okay. Well, that was great. And what a wonderful summary of what's happened. I'm just going to pull highlights. Well, why does he take notes? Well, because I wouldn't remember it all. And when we're done, I let the notes go. I rip them up and offer them to the gods. So they're not in a file somewhere. But being able to be present through the day and coming off of automatic pilot, a sense of calmness that can be tapped into, The commitment and community, which came up a couple of times, understanding the progression, awareness always in the background, but going from distraction to being able to rest in awareness. Again, I've taught this in two different ways. I did teach it once at the Shambhala Center locally, and that was like a once a week for 3 or 4 hours. And this feels a lot different because of the daily sort of drip, drip, drip quality of it, which is nice actually. It's like we get to see each other every day, and it's reinforcing. And the usefulness of the tapes, like life gets in the way sometimes. I don't know, life gets in the way for me. I have yet another medical appointment today, so I'll be doing session 2. I have a spot where I can stop halfway between here and the doctor. I'll do the session and then I'll get to the doctor on time. Life gets in the way, so the tapes are very useful, and then you can laugh at things. It's like, well, that's life, right? And applying it in the daily life is really important. The progressive, I'm just pulling, highlights from some of what you said. The progressive building on a foundation and progressive skills. And again, Margaret, your emphasis on the community part of it, really, really important. And then this leads to the essence practice, which was also mentioned. So, for me, that's all important. And I'm going to talk for just this is sort of extemporaneous. I'm talking without, normally I think things out before I say them. Now you're just going to get Brian unplugged, without having thought it out. Sip of coffee is probably useful. So I learned to meditate. The first time I did this kind of thing, I think it was in the fall of 1972. And somehow a copy of Suzuki Roshi's book, Zen Mind, landed in my lap. And I thought, I'll try that. And as I've thought about it, so that was 54 years ago. Oh my goodness. As I've thought about it over those many, many years, and wondering, like, what is the point? Like, why do this? I mean, I like doing it. So, like, that's one good reason. I usually repeat doing things that I like. So that's helpful. But, getting into a lot of Tibetan meditation and visualization and all kinds of things is like, why are we doing this? And it's really easy to say, oh, it's just this one thing. Like, just do this practice, and this will take you to complete freedom, like total liberation in one weekend. Or just this one thing is all you need. And I think it's a lot like living a healthy lifestyle, if I can be, honest in a way that I don't know is always the way this is presented. If you're trying to live a healthy lifestyle, you try to get enough sleep, you try to eat in a way that supports your health, a little bit of exercise is useful. It's not all just one thing. I know one exercise coach who says you can't outrun a bad diet. Right? So, like, no amount of exercise will do if you're eating Cheetos all the time or Twinkies, you can't do enough exercise to get past that, right? So it's a combination of things. And this is like that. It's a combination of things. So this practice that we've been working with so much dedication, it's an excellent practice. And it does provide two really keynote skills that are part of getting free from suffering, free from the sort of tsunami of distraction and craziness of our culture, but also that makes you a better person. And in Buddhism, that's not talked about a lot. It's more about enlightenment and liberation, but it would help if it made you a nicer person along the way. Because otherwise, we'd be enlightened jerks. I've met a few, right? So this practice with the skill of being able to pay attention and really listen to yourself, your own experience. So we're in the experience. Like that thing you've heard me say, we're not watching ourselves, we're in the experience. To actually be in your own life and let your life talk to you. It's a profound ability that is really lacking today. We keep thinking somebody else will explain it. Somebody else will tell us what life is. And it's like, no, life is happening right now. And you could just jump into it if you can pay attention. And then I had this little strip of paper that I keep on my desk, which was a summary from, I think, the last time we did Entering the Stream, and it was a summary of stage 9. And I don't always say it this way, but the last time, describing stage 9, we were trying to get to, it doesn't say that, a sustained, subtle connection with alive awareness, continuous and free of dull mind. We're trying to get to a sustained, subtle connection with alive awareness, continuous and free of dull mind. And if you get there to stage 9, that is amazing. And life opens up. It's like part of why to do it is life is rich and beautiful and painful and challenging and full of drama and comedy and adventure, like everything, right? And all the ordinary things, right? So the practice actually, for me, after 54 years, it just helps me be a human being and sink into the goodness of being a human being and using the natural qualities of being able to pay attention and be aware. And from there, the world opens up. And if you could contrast that, and the contrasts are sometimes a little bit painful, but if you could contrast that with how a lot of our culture is, we're not focused or attentive. We're sort of highly distracted, and our attention is stolen away by all the stuff that we have. And we're not very aware. And we have all these things to track, all of our body metrics and, but it's like, are we actually just present to our own experience? Do we know what we're doing when we're doing it? Can we enjoy the savor of coffee as we sip the coffee? And I think if there was a judge and jury for our culture, it would to go, a lot of times not. And so this is a very special skill. It is said that many, many years ago, so I think at this point it would be close to 2,600 years ago, Lord Buddha sat under a tree and mostly did this. Now, this was not the only thing he did. So, and this is not about being Buddhist, but the Buddha offers an example or a paradigm, a pattern of how this works. He got here after living a lot of life. He had done yoga and he'd done all kinds of study and he'd been a prince and he'd had a life. He'd had a wife, he had a child. I'm not sure the Buddha was a guy that you'd like before he got enlightened because he abandoned his wife and child to go meditate. So in a sense, he was a deadbeat dad. He just went off to the woods and practiced, right? And left wife and child at home. And, if you listen to the pious version of this, he did that for the benefit of the entire world. I think if you'd asked the wife, she'd have had a different opinion. Like, where'd you go? What do you mean you're leaving me, right, with this kid, right? So he had work to do, and he did a lot of personal work. And then he got to the place where all of the personal work he had done had not taken him to a place of feeling like he was fully alive and not immersed in the sort of tsunami of distraction and painfulness like we are in our culture. So there's a Buddhist word for it. It's usually translated as suffering, but life has that quality of like it's hard, right? And so none of the yogas and the disciplines and the, you know, special mystical techniques. And he sat down and did this until he recognized that subtle connection with a live awareness. And so that's why this is a big part of the tradition. There's a couple of other things that always go along with this. So it's just useful to know, right? This is just, you know, in terms of taking a journey, we've used the car driving metaphor. You know, you get in the car and you drive maybe from Halifax to Toronto or somewhere else, Halifax to Kamloops. It's a long drive. And you get there and you go, there's a lot else happening in the continent. Like maybe you'd like to go visit, you know, the Redwood Forest, or you'd like to see the Grand Canyon. It's like the drive does not end at Kamloops. The journey does not end at stage 9. And that's a wonderful thing for me, because it's not like, oh, I did this, now I go, you know, get to collect some other experience. It's like this gets deeper and deeper and more live, right? So among the things that are really important, one is considered, you know, to be the development of compassion. And as you practice, or tenderness, which we were talking about last night at the Shambhala Center, there's a natural goodness of heart. All of us have a tenderness to something. Something touches our hearts. That's where the tenderness, that's what the tenderness is. And that grows into a sense of connection and compassion. Right? And so, you know, you're doing this and you can rest in subtle awareness, and then you realize that that awareness connects you to everything. And tenderness is natural. It's a really good test if you're on the right track. If you do this and you get to the subtle awareness, but you're not tender, then either you really haven't gotten to subtle awareness or something went off the track somewhere, right? And you'll have to go back and figure that out, right? That's where a teacher and a community is really helpful. And a community is really helpful. I truly appreciated everybody talking about community, because, you know, you can think that you've achieved freedom, and then you're in a community and somebody annoys you. Well, we were joking yesterday, I think in the second session, about, you know, you think you've achieved freedom, now go home for the holidays. Have Thanksgiving dinner or Christmas dinner with the family. And, you know, as all the family dynamics are flying, if you can maintain your sense of calm, subtle connection and compassion, then you are well practiced. So it's, you know, community keeps it real. And it's been important for me. You know, one of the things as a teacher is like, we're all just human beings. We're all just women and men, or however we choose to describe ourselves. For, you know, I'm not so good at doing the non-binary thing, but we're all just people, right? However we designate ourselves. And that shared humanity of just like, we have hearts and we have minds. So the mind part brings in the third thing, which is there are wisdom traditions that go with this. And I've tried to very lightly season this, especially this time, with the wisdom tradition. So every time we do the weather check-in, and I say, well, the weather is the weather, and as an example of impermanence, that is a wisdom teaching, that everything changes. And that's not just a Buddhist wisdom teaching. You can go back to the Greek, you know, pre-Socratic philosophers like Heraclitus or Heraclitus, tomato, however you say that name, right? And, you know, you can't step in the same stream twice. You know, everything's constantly flowing. That's Heraclitus, right? Or, you know, in this, the weather's always changing. It's more like a river than a rock, right? That sense of knowing that develops wisdom. And the wisdom is when you love something, then you have an opportunity to cherish it, knowing that it's temporary. Celebrate it, love it, and know that you're going to have to let it go. About a week ago, Margaret brought in some daffodils from our garden, and they were lovely. And now they're sort of at the nursing home stage for daffodils, and soon they will go away. That's just life. And so, I've appreciated them and loved the sight of them. And they actually have a scent I didn't appreciate before, and it's like, wow. And then, oh, and that impermanence is part of the tenderness, right? Like the wisdom and the compassion and the just connecting to the subtle talk to themselves. And so I'm going to use a very old metaphor, and this is from Chogyam Trungpa. And he said, it's like a bird, which has two wings and a body. One wing is wisdom. The other, one like studying and understanding things. The other wing is meditation, and the body of the bird is compassion. You don't have a bird without all three. You can't just meditate. I mean, you can, and it's powerful and it's good. It's better than not meditating, but this is part of a journey. Right? And you can't just have wisdom, because we know lots of people who know lots of stuff, but they're sort of crazy and they lack compassion. And you can't just have compassion, because then it's sort of like all over the place and not helpful. So it's putting it all together. And part of what this program was designed to do is to introduce the meditation part. So there's a wisdom part, or taking it further, that's part 3. And, maybe we can talk a little bit about community and how to keep a community connection going as part of this. But I feel like I've talked for a while. I'm going to pause and see if anybody else wants to jump in. Question, thought, response? Margaret.
I'll just echo maybe a little bit of the discussion that we were having last night, but what you said about just having compassion, or trying to operate from there without wisdom or without, I think of it as skillful means, or knowing the pragmatics of how to meditate, or how to take it to our day-to-day life. It's hurtful, not just to other people, it can potentially also be hurtful to ourselves. Sort of like jumping into the storm with your heart wide open, and not really having a boat, or any vehicle to find a way to, you can't just somehow navigate the storm completely on your own. So the movie that we watched last night, that was one of the scenes in it that I particularly loved. The good guy who was like an old man and retired, and really shouldn't have offered his skill, got in a boat and actually remembered how to navigate and sail. And then the storm was too much for him, and he was beyond his capability, and he had taken the whole crew, everybody, into a situation beyond what he could actually really navigate. And, it ended well, but it ended with everybody in the lifeboats and having to ask for help. And that really struck me. Like, here's a place, what we have in community here is someone opens their heart and asks for help. And sometimes you answer, or maybe I do, or somebody else in the group does. Like, there's some kind of support and assistance here for the compassion. And so there's I call it developing a steadiness of heart that allows me to just be who I am and offer when I really want to, or not offer when I don't want to, and to be comfortable inside of that, of knowing who I am and having a choice and having boundaries around it. I'll stop there. Thank you, Brian.
I love that phrase, a steadiness of heart. That's a lovely turn of phrase. And again, pointing to community, part of what has made this, and I think what makes it, is that, we get to do it together. I appreciate the opportunity to sit in the teacher seat, but, just one human being with other human beings. Anyone else want to jump in?
Yeah, Brian, I do. I remember I went to Shambhala Center in Tatamagoush the first time. I was just exploring Buddhism, but there was all these books and big shelves, and it's kind of a mystery. Somebody recommended this book, and one said, "Don't bother with that stuff." But that would be. I like that, and I like that description with the bird, because just meditating would be. It's good in itself, has a lot of benefits, but and compassion. I've always been a heart person, or have compassion, but I didn't have the other side of the wing there, the wisdom, especially discernment. So I would be wide open like that, and love, and everybody's loving, and try. And there's something good about that heart, compassion, but without that discernment, which I'm still getting it now, but I have more now, and I can look back. I said, "Oh, yes, I would be giving that to the wrong people," and I got hurt because took advantage of that, my vulnerability and openness. So that's been a big part. You've taken a lot of the mystery out for me and made it real. And I can see where I'm at on my journey with that balance, because I have to have the balance, the wisdom to know the difference, if you will, and not. The other was kind of good, but it had a lopsidedness to it, which wasn't healthy. So, yeah, so it's been a good journey for me, and teachings. And now my journey is about balance, staying in balance. So that's a good visualization with the bird, and I'll take that or appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm getting some feedback here, so I'm trying to unmute. I'm trying to mute to work with my own sound. So anyway, thank you, Gary. Something you said, we did meet at the meditation center at Dorje Den Maling in Tatamagoush at another program, and my part of the program was to teach stages 1 through 4 over the course of 5 days, I think, or something. And I do know that library that you're talking about outside the meditation hall, where there are lots and lots of books. But I think one of the challenges, and everything else you said, I just want to, like, yes, right? So I'm just pulling on one thread from what you said. One of the challenges in taking on a practice like meditation, or any spiritual tradition, right? Like this tradition has been around for 2,500 years, and there are millions and millions of pages. There are tens of thousands of books just from the Tibetan version of this, let alone the Chinese version or the Japanese version and they're all very cultural. So the way this looks in Japan with its samurai culture and its very like rigorous, is different than how it looked in Tibet. Like the Tibetans, they're just as fierce, they're just not that intense. Like they're not intense in the same way. But they're both teaching the same thing. They're just different cultures, right? Or if you go to India, if you ever have the chance to go to India and you go to an Indian temple, and there are, they're massive, they're like cathedrals, and there are like 10,000 gods carved into the walls. It's like that's their culture, right? It's very rich and very varied. And so a person in our position, like in 2026 Canada, tries to encounter, the teachings on meditation, and it's like, where do I start? Like if I want to do the wisdom, where do I start? What's the map? And that's a really hard question. So that's beyond the scope of this. I just want to acknowledge the excellence of the question. It's something I want to work with a little bit next year and what I'm going to do. But in general, like getting some sense of the reach of the territory, that it's not all just one thing and it's not just one simple thing. And allowing yourself is what Suzuki Roshi actually meant, in my understanding, with his book Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. They'll say in the mind of the beginner, there are many possibilities. So it's like in stage 2, where you've noticed distraction, and then you can come back and be curious about the breath and really engage, like what's really going on here? And it's so rich and so layered. And, most of us just go on breathing in, I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in, I'm breathing. Like, it's like we have like this, we don't have a lot of possibility. But when you allow yourself to get curious, the thing opens up and it's like, oh, there's a lot going on. Right? And the curiosity actually opens the door to a much richer experience. So encountering the wisdom is like, oh, there's a lot here. What's the general lay of the land? And then of all the possibilities, what do I want to know? Knowing that you will find contradictory advice. So imagine you're in Halifax and you want to go to Vancouver. And one person's going to tell you the best way is to head south to Florida. Florida's nice. And somebody else is going to say, why don't you aim for Yellowknife on the way? Right? There are lots of possibilities, right? That both might eventually get you there. So they're not, and Yellowknife is not having an argument with Tampa. So, but if you ask a Yellowknifer or a person from Tampa, what do you call a person from Tampa? A person from Tampa, I don't know, a citizen of Tampa, then, they will have their opinion. And so if you ask a Chinese person or a Vietnamese or a Tibetan, they will always all say this is the best, right? And it's useful to know, oh, it's a big map and you get to choose. And they all do some version of the 9 stages. So this is one of the things they all agree on. You have to get in the car and learn how to drive, keep your eyes on the road, your hands on the wheel. They say it in their culture, but you have to tame your attention and connect with that subtle awareness. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling and we're close to almost an hour. Anybody else want to jump in? Okay. Oh, Robert. Hooray.
As Gary was describing the panoply of options, even within the Shambhala tradition. And I'm just really grateful that you're there, because I don't know how to make the decisions. And in many ways, you make decisions on our behalf. You say, here's a suggested way to go. And I can imagine so many rabbit holes I could have gone down and didn't. So I just want to express deep appreciation.
Thank you, Robert. Your comment reminds me of one of the best meals I ever ate. Margaret and I went to this restaurant. It was, I don't know, maybe our 5th anniversary 30 years ago, and we went to this French restaurant in Vancouver. And this guy who looked like Fred Astaire in a white tux, it really was like right out of like Casablanca, right? And I had ordered a special table in front of the fireplace. It was very romantic. And he's like, "Would you like me to order for you?" And that is like often my worst nightmare, letting somebody else control my food. But I looked at him and I thought, for some reason, I'll trust you. And all he said was, "Fish or meat?" And Margaret said fish, and I said meat. He said fine, and walked away, and came back with this exquisite meal. And sometimes somebody, he knew what he was doing, which is the point I was trying to, so sometimes it's helpful to have, so thank you, Robert. And that feels to me sometimes like my role, fish or meat, right? Well, let's talk a little bit about what's next. So here we are, we're concluding, right? And it's nice to, feel like, okay, we got some things done and we had some experience, which is the point, I hope, to have some experience. If nothing happened, that would be tragic because you put in a lot of effort. So you've had some good experience and able to connect at least somewhat with the subtle awareness, hopefully a lot with subtle awareness. So there are 2 things that I'd like to suggest happen next. The first one is, starting next week, on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we'll continue to practice, just like before. And I'll send it out as a calendar, but it'll be early one day and later the other, all right? And or maybe it'll be 8 and noon on Tuesdays and 8 and noon on Wednesdays. We'll figure it out, but there'll be opportunities to practice. Because that sense of coming together and seeing each other and supporting each other is really important, as many of you have said. And it's a practice. It's like doing it over and over. It's why I learned this 54 years ago. I'm still doing it. All right, like it's a practice. You just keep doing it. It gets deeper and deeper, right? So I hope that's helpful to know. And that's just, part of being a community together. So not everybody will make everyone, but I hope you'll make a bunch of them. And we'll be here as long as people keep coming. When people stop coming, we won't be here. That's how it works. So that's the first part. I'm going to pause. Anybody want to jump in? Okay. And there is a third section to this set of courses that I call Awakening the Sky Within. And some of you have done this before. You're welcome, if you've done it before, to join in and do it again. Awakening the Sky Within teaches what happens after stage 9. And there's a lot you can say. I mean, it's a big map. but there are 3 ways to teach it. And one of them is, could we just go to the core or essential experience of what it's like to be awake? I just call that the essence practice. One of my teachers called it Essence Mahamudra. And that's what the program's about. So it's just like this one, or Meditation is Freedom. It's 4 weeks long. There'll be 4 talks. We'll practice together Monday through Friday, right? 8 a.m. and noon Atlantic, so 4 a.m. and 8 a.m. on the West Coast. Make as many as possible, and we explore Mahamudra, the essence practice. So that's going to start June 8, and it goes to July 3. And I will send something out soon, inviting you to it, and then fix my website so that's what pops up when people go to look at it. You are looking at the entire administrative team here. So sometimes things take time, but that's the idea, that we'll do the essence practice. And when the essence practice is done, I hope we can keep the community engagement of twice a week practice going. That's my intent. And I may not be able to make it all the time. We'll figure out like when people can help and help keep it going, because we can do the practice. So having said that, I'm just going to pause from my side and say how much I appreciate you're being here. Because if you weren't here, I don't think I'd be doing something else, but I would not be doing this. And I love doing this. So your being here gives me the opportunity to both share the teachings and to do the practice. So I'm going to pause. Any last questions or thoughts? All right, let's go around. It's the opposite of, it's like it's not the weather check-in, it's sort of the check-out. The saying goodbye at the end of the show. Margaret, I'm going to ask you to go first, and then we'll just go around and I'll call on people, going back up from the bottom of my screen. So it'll be Violaine, Susan, and then Tony after you. Of just, if you have something to say goodbye with, a phrase, a word, a short goodbye.
I think I expressed some of my appreciation to you this morning, Brian, and to the community. But I want to say individually, I feel like I've gotten to know each of you personally in a way that I never thought was possible in the Zoomakaya, is what we're calling it in one of my other communities. I think before COVID, I didn't, even though I worked online as a therapist with clients and I knew intimacy was possible, I don't think I really believed that one could build a quality of family or genuine heart connections in the way that happen here, or I've experienced happening in other groups that we've built around meditation online. So I feel like, in a way, each of you are part of my meditation family. I guess I could say that, and I appreciate it a lot. And thank you. Thank you from my heart for being here and for being part of my life.
Thanks, Margaret. Violaine, do you want to jump in and have a word of au revoir? It's possible that Violaine had to leave. Let's go to Susan.
I'm relieved that there's another 1 month session of meditation coming, because I've enjoyed this so much. And just want to thank the group for being so welcoming for a newbie who really didn't know anything about meditation. So it's been very positive, great experience for me. And looking forward to the next month.
Thank you, Susan. You're not a newbie anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah.
Tony?
Well, my little girl, she's started meditating as well. She sits on my lap and stares out at the ocean.
There you go. There you
Yeah.
go.
I'd like to thank you, Brian. I always enjoy the talks that you give after. The questions in the community are very, very helpful in answering questions I don't even know that need answered. So, it was a pleasure with all of you all, and I look forward to the next continuing. So, thank you and good day.
Thanks, Tony. Let's go, Robert, Steve, if you want to type something in or talk, and then Kathy. Robert?
Well, I want to thank you all this morning for helping me celebrate my 79th birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
You're on mute, Brian.
I was sending up rockets and horns of joy.
Thank you all. I love being here.
That's wonderful, Robert. Happy birthday. What are you doing to celebrate beyond this? I mean, what would top this?
Exactly. I had a celebration yesterday with Anne. We went out for lunch and had a wonderful time.
Nice. Nice.
Big ones next year, 80.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Steve, did you want to type something in? Having a sangha is great. It's been missing in my life. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. And thank you, Steve. Let's go, Kathy, Cynthia, Gary. Kathy.
One of the things I really appreciated with the continuity of the regular twice a week practice was I could actually do it when I was in Spain for 2.5 months. And when you're that far away from home, it was just really great to connect up with people who you knew from home and other parts of the world. And I really, really appreciated that. I've been meditating since the early 70s as well, but not continuously every day. And I had set that practice in place for myself for the last 2 years. So this connection here has given me the ability to kind of give it a new structural framework. But also, it is demonstrating to me that yes, technology has its uses. And I know one of the things that has that is a barrier for me is having to drive anywhere, so even to St. Margaret's Bay now to Shambhala Center, which I did go to on Sunday and, had several opportunities to meditate there in the morning. But yeah, so it's accessible, which is great, and it is it's wonderful to be sitting with people who have had experience and shares their experience. It's the sharing part. The learning part's great, but the sharing part is just as important to me. So thank you all, but thank you, Brian, for sure. Primarily, but because he sets it up and is the structure, in the teachings, but all of you have been very important to me as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Cynthia?
I want to echo Kathy's sentiments. Even though you're not, I feel you're just down the road. Even though you're rising in the morning with me, you're not. We're in different times, extremely different. And I also feel that besides the vernacular of your teachings, the laic vernacular, which I so appreciate, Brian, is also the questions and your response to them, the generosity and openness of each person who comes or who participates. And also, it's clear you really think about your responses to us. And I'm very grateful that we're going to have some sort of continuance.
Thanks, Cynthia. Gary?
Yes, well, even as a little boy, I've always had a great hunger, thirst for community, for emotional, spiritual, soulful community.
Mm.
So this is another great nugget of gold I've struck with my pick. I'm happy to say, to find anytime I find a group of fellow spiritual travelers who speak from the heart, I'm just like, I feel like I'm connected and home, and I love it. So thank you all for being here, and Margaret and Brian and for leading, and everybody. And Robert, happy birthday, 79. You're just a young man.
Thanks, Gary. Well, everyone, thank you for being here, and for making this happen. And I will look forward to seeing you down the road. It's very traditional in a Buddhist context. I'm going to allow myself to let the Buddhism shine through for a moment, to dedicate whatever goodness we've accomplished for the benefit of the world. So this is a very short Buddhist prayer. You don't have to say it, but I'm going to close with it. By this merit, may all attain omniscience. May it defeat the enemy, wrongdoing, from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of confusion, may I free all beings.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, friends.
Thank you.
See you
Bye.
down
Happy
the
birthday,
road.
Robbie.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
See you down the road. Happy birthday, Robert.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Namaste.